Hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to Speak Up with Mopriya. Today is Sunday and as usual it's time to hear from an expert. Today I feel delighted as well as extremely proud. That is because after a lot of forcing and persuasion, I was able to bring today's guest to the show. Today's episode is going to be extremely beneficial for all of you who are planning to change your jobs, switch your careers, or make a career in sales. You can also expect to get some insights on health and nutrition and overall self development from today's episode. And I'm extremely proud to introduce you all to today's guest, whom I know since the day he was born. I have seen him grow, evolve, and flourish over the last 27 years, and that's why I say I am extremely proud because today I am hosting my brother, Mr. Abhranil Mukherjee. He has been working in the sales domain for the last 5 years and doing extremely well for himself. And today he's going to share some of his inputs for all of you out there who are wanting to crack that sales code. So sit back, have a pen and a paper handy to take down notes, and enjoy this extremely special episode that is very close to my heart indeed.
Good morning and hello, Abhranil. Finally, after a lot of convincing, I could get you here. So thank you so much for joining in today. And I think this was the first time I called you Abhranil in my entire life. So that feels a little weird, but welcome to the show. And thank you so much for taking time out today. How are you feeling this morning?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, rather forcefully, but thanks nonetheless. And yeah, I'm feeling excited. This is probably the first time I'm doing something together with you. So yeah, excited about it.
Right, absolutely. So I have already given a little gist about who you are to our viewers, but why don't you start by telling us a little bit about Abhranil, the professional as well as the person?
Okay, sure. Professionally, okay, let me cover the professional side first. So, professionally, as you know, I'm a account executive working with a startup called Scrut Automation. What an account executive basically does is, they help in closing the leads that are generated by the company, and we directly bring revenue to the company. So I've been working in B2B sales for the last 5 years. I've worked in software sales. I've worked in animation video sales. I've worked in biotech sales, and finally I settled down for tech sales. So interestingly, I studied biotechnology for my BSc. But after that, after working at a biotech company for a few months, I realized that it is not something that I'm interested in, not something that has a lot of growth at the moment in India. So I switched my career and got into sales and eventually tech sales. Coming to the personal side, I'm a super introverted person. I do like to socialize, but I my social battery runs out quite quickly. But yeah, I like to, I'm interested in nutrition and fitness. So that's something that I focus on most, as much as I can. Apart from that, I like to travel. I like to read. I love watching English movies. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Wonderful, great. So yes, of course, I know the introverted part of you, but also, a very interesting thing that you said is it's not that I don't socialize. So I think a lot of people out there are already introverts and they would relate to it that most of the time people think that if you're an introvert, you do not socialize at all, but that's not the case. And thank you for mentioning that. So tell me this,
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, Ball. Yeah, of course, Ball.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, it's kind of paradoxical that, being an introverted person, I'm a sales guy, right? It's usually people
Yes.
think that if you are in sales, you have to talk a lot, you have to make friends. So if you're an introvert, how do you, become a salesperson? So that's not true. When you talk for a purpose of selling something or purpose of consulting someone, there is some domain knowledge that you come with and you talk to them about solving their problems. So it's not like
Correct.
you're making friends there. You have a very specific agenda in mind. And introvertedness, I believe, is a general nature of a person. So in one of the videos of Simon Sinek, he very nicely mentions what an introverted person is. So basically, any person who loses energy while talking or socializing can be called an introvert, whereas
Right.
any person who gains energy by talking to people, they can be
Yeah.
called as an extrovert. So yeah.
Yes, I think that's very interesting, and I think it's a very insightful thing that you have shared with everyone today. Now, coming to the next question that I want to ask you is, you studied biotechnology and then you took up a career in sales, right? So how did that
Yeah.
happen? And a lot of learners out there, I think I won't say myself because I studied hotel management, but overall it was the service industry. So I never worked in hotel, but I have worked into the service industry always. But we often see a lot of youngsters, they study something and then they take up a completely different career, right? So how easy or how difficult was that, and how did all of that happen?
Right. Uh, See, I think a lot of people make the mistake of not identifying what they want, from life or from career, uh,
Mm.
or they are not very clear about why they are working in the field that they are in. Right. For me, I was lucky enough to understand quite early in my career that what I don't want to do and what I expect from my career. For me, it was just about earning money. Right. So
Right.
I think first of all, people should identify whether they are just working for money or
Mm.
do they have a specific career goal in mind. So for example, if
Mm.
someone wants to become a teacher, or someone wants to work at an organization like ISRO, they can't be thinking about just the money aspect, right? There's a job
Right.
satisfaction to look after. On the other hand, if someone is just working for the financial bit, then for them it does not make sense to stick to a specific job which is like not paying them well, or which is not fulfilling, or which is not giving them the growth that they want, right? So first of all, identify what
Mm.
you want from your career. Secondly, so for me, when I like luckily I started working at a startup, right? My first job
Mm.
was at a startup. And the
Right.
best part about working in startups is that you have a lot of flexibility. It's not
Mm.
right like you are crammed into a very specific role, right?
Mm.
So luckily my first boss or CEO, he was kind enough to I was curious about learning the business aspects and learning
Mm.
about sales and marketing, and he was kind enough to give me that role, and I
Right.
learned from that. After that, from there I began my career in sales,
Mm.
and from there gradually I understood that if I want to earn money, I would have to work in software sales specifically. So
Mm.
in sales, B2B sales, there are many other options. Like you can work in service industry, you can work in hotel, you can work in let's say real estate, etc. But
Mm.
what I came to know during my initial years, that most rewarding or the most amount of money I can earn is in tech sales or
Mm.
software as a service sales. So then I found out the ways. Like, of course, there was a luck factor where I met the right people. I was in the right kind of industry. So when I was working at a company called AdVids, which is
Mm.
a animated video creation agency, uh, their main customer base was software companies, right?
Mm.
And that's where I understood that most of the funding, most of the money is in that industry.
Mm.
And a lot of my ex-colleagues from there went to this particular industry. And that's how I decided that okay, I will eventually get into this particular field.
Right.
uh, in terms of how difficult it was, I don't think it was difficult because I uh, fortunately I had gathered the fundamentals of what sales is all about. So once you gather the fundamentals and you understand how companies work, what businesses want,
Mm.
what people want from you when they are hiring you, you are able to like navigate your ways, right? So that
Mm.
was a helpful aspect. Apart
Mm.
from that, I also came across an agency which helped in training and getting placed in the SaaS industry. So
Mm.
like that again was a turn of luck, and it came up. But I was what I am thankful for is that I was able to identify the opportunity at the right time.
Mm.
A lot of times people don't identify opportunities that come in. So let's say I started working at AdVids. It had already been like 8 to 9 months. I had just got a promotion and a raise. At that point, usually people would refrain from leaving that job because they feel that
Right.
okay, they're bettering their company, or they should have something to show on their resume.
Mm.
But at the same time, I saw that I ultimately want to get into SaaS sales.
Mm.
If I'm getting an opportunity, why waste it, right? Ultimately, even 2 years down the line, I would have gone the same way.
Mm.
So I took that opportunity, and it turned out pretty well for me. So yeah, we have to like be open to change whenever it comes,
Mm.
and have to identify the right opportunity, I believe.
Right. I think, the one thing that I can summarize from this is it is important to have an open outlook to what you want, what people are looking for, and also what are the
Yeah,
opportunities that you are getting at every step of the way. Because most of the times we try and get into that comfort zone where we are too scared to even look for opportunities or even try and evaluate whether to take up an opportunity if it is there, right? So I think that's a very
correct.
interesting thing that you spoke about. So tell me this, you spoke about SaaS sales and it is doing quite the rounds these days. So like, could you just simplify what is SaaS sales for all our viewers out there who might be interested in making a career in sales? And what is it like? What is the secret ingredient to make a career in sales, and what kind of growth can they expect if they step into the sales industry?
Sure. So, first of all, let me explain what SaaS is, and then I'll come to how people can get into it or grow in it. So, SaaS basically means software as a service. How it is different from a normal software is that in earlier days, let's say you wanted to use something like a Photoshop. So you would usually go out and buy a DVD, which you would probably then install in your computer, and that software would run only on that particular computer. If you if it was a desktop and you are traveling, then obviously you will not be able to use it in your laptop or any other device, right?
Right.
Now think about Canva. A lot of people these days are using Canva. So Canva, you can install a desktop application, but at the same time you can also open it in your Chrome and use it on your Chrome browser, right? So all you need is a laptop or a desktop and an internet service. Why? Because it is stored on cloud, so you don't really need to install it in your device. You can use it from anywhere, regardless of where you are, which device you're on. So this is called as SaaS, like software as a service. Rather than giving the software as a product, as a one-time product that you buy and then you own that product, rather than doing that, companies started giving it as a service where you subscribe to the product and use it or pay for it only for the duration that you use. So you can subscribe to, let's say, Canva for a month, and then you can unsubscribe if your need is completed. So it's like that. You use it, and you pay for what you use. So that is called software as a service. Now, Canva is probably, a mix of B2C and B2B, because a lot of people use it for their personal use as well. Netflix, for example, is a B2C software. On the other hand, there are like human resource management systems or ERP systems or customer relationship management systems, which fall under the B2B SaaS part. So that's what SaaS is all about. Now, coming to how people can grow in SaaS sales, first of all, the kind of mindset or attitude they need to have in order to progress in any kind of sales, not just SaaS, is that they have to have a sense of ownership. Selling is something that is directly affecting a business, right? So from the day a CEO starts their business, they have to first sell it, right? So right from the CEO to the whole sales team, it's always an attitude of how will I earn more revenue, and that is what the sales process is about. So if you don't have a sense of ownership, that okay, it is like my own business and I want to grow this business, then you cannot have cannot be a very successful salesperson. Right. And that is why it is also very rewarding, because companies compensate you directly for doing achieving your targets, right? So like they will happily pay you more than your salary just in incentives for the amount of revenue that you generate for them. And that's the best part. Like for a salesperson, they of course get a fixed salary, but they have a huge incentive part as well, which they can earn on achieving or overachieving their targets, and that gets multiplied as much as they are able to meet their targets. Of course, that comes with a lot of practice and a lot of patience and commitment. But then at the end of the day, if your focus is money, then it's a very rewarding career.
Right. Okay, wonderful. So what would you say are, some of the top skills that a successful salesperson should possess?
So first of all, as I said, sense of ownership is needed. Apart from that, communication is like obvious. I'm not just talking about English in general, but how you communicate your thoughts, right? So if a person is in real estate sales, obviously they will not be communicating in English. They'll probably be communicating in the local language. But at the same time, if they are not able to communicate their thoughts, and when I say communication, I don't just mean what you speak, but also what you listen, right? So sales is all about solving problems for someone else. People will give you money if you solve a particular problem for them. So you will be able to identify a problem for someone only when you hear their problems, only when you listen to them while they are talking about their problems. So listening is as important as speaking. And of course, you'll have to have patience, and you have to have consistency. It's not something that is based on your mood. So you can be creative about it, but mostly it's about the persistence. So you have to keep at it. You'll have a lot of rejection. You'll have clients who will say that yeah, I'll go ahead with you. I'll buy your product. and then they would get a better deal and turn away at the last moment.
Right.
So if you're someone who is very sensitive about it, that will affect your job directly. So you have to understand that it's a very professional relationship. No matter how well you have a conversation with someone, they might still go with another solution or another vendor, and you will get rejected. But that does not comment on what quality of salesperson you are, or what kind of a person you are, right? So they have to be detached from the results of their job.
Okay, wonderful. I think those are very, insightful points that you spoke about. Now, the next thing that I want to know is, it has become, like nowadays, it has become a common culture of switching jobs at a very quick pace in the career. And for you, I have seen this journey where you have successfully switched jobs in a very early phase of your career, right? So another problem that I often see people talk about is they want to switch, but they don't know how to go about it, or they're very confused about looking for the right job, looking for the right kind of opportunity, right? So, being someone who has already done that multiple times, what would be your, plan of action that you can suggest to somebody who is looking for a career change or a job change, and how can they go about it? What is the most easy and effective way?
Right. So job switches, like, I know it's a very daunting process, and there's a lot of confusion, right? But fundamentally it's like this. So one, again, you have to know why you want to switch the job. Is it about you don't like the job, or is it that you like the job but the company is not right? So in that case, if you know what you don't want, say for example you have a toxic work culture, then you would probably be looking out for a company which has a better culture. On the other hand, if culture is fine, you like the job, but it is not as fruitful as you would like it to be, then you need to look for a career change altogether, a domain change altogether. So first of all, identify what you want to change. Secondly, you have to be open, or you have to be observant about everything. So you have to know what all things are, what kind of changes are there in the trends in the market, what kind of skills are in demand, which skills are paying what kind of money, and also you have to have a good network of people around you, right? So maybe keep in touch with your friends, keep in touch with colleagues who have changed domains or changed jobs. Keep in touch with your previous employers, so that you understand that what kind of skills are they looking for, and maybe make friends, right? So even, like, for example, when I travel, I sometimes stay in hostels or something. So I meet new people, I get to know about different roles which are out there, and I usually exchange numbers with them or add them on my Instagram or LinkedIn and stay in touch with them to understand what things are changing. That's one. Apart from that, when it comes to the actual job search part, once you've identified what you want to do, try to, if you're changing your career, then probably try to start from a small startup company, because that's where you'll have most flexibility. You will not be limited to just one small role. So maybe start from a startup. But if you are very sure about a role, then you can go for bigger companies. Next is, always make sure that you curate your resume to the job that you're applying to. So we have a very bad habit of creating a general resume and then floating it everywhere. That does not work in today's time. You have to make sure that your resume reflects what kind of job you're applying for. So if, let's say, I today want to become a teacher, and I want to apply to some kind of academy or something, I cannot just share my sales resume, right? I have to modify my resume to fit how my communication, or what kind of coaching I have done, what kind of subjects I'm familiar with, why I want to become a teacher, and all that, not the sales resume. So curate your resume. Get yourself familiar with tools like LinkedIn Jobs or Naukri.com or AngelList, etc. So be technology savvy. Understand how, like, ATS works. So ATS is basically application tracking system. So nowadays, a lot of companies use that to filter out resumes, because obviously they get thousands of resumes.
Correct.
They cannot manually check every resume, so they use an ATS system to filter out the irrelevant resumes. So understand how the ATS scans for a specific job role. So accordingly, you can use the keywords. So take help of ChatGPT or take help from Google, and try to curate the resume. And most importantly, don't just rely on applying the jobs, like applying to the jobs, but also do cold reach outs, right? So you have LinkedIn, add people to your network, add HRs, add hiring managers from the respective departments, add CEOs even if you're applying to a startup, and
Right.
do cold reach outs to them. Like just message them on LinkedIn, introducing yourself, and maybe sharing with them why you can be a good candidate for the job. Be creative sometimes, so you can also record a 1-minute video introducing yourself, because if you send a resume directly, nobody is going to take out the time to go through the resume and think whether you are suitable or not. So maybe record a quick video telling about why you want this job and why you would be suitable for that job. And of course, videos catch people's attention and they do reply most of the time. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. I think that's a very, detailed plan of action that you have spoken about. And I feel all the viewers are going to gain a lot of insights from that. And of course, everything is hard work, right? So people can't just think that, okay, I'll just sit down and apply to multiple jobs on LinkedIn and then somebody is going to call me. That is one aspect which everybody needs to think about. Most of the times, what we just do is we want to just click a button and get everything done, but that is not how things work out. So thank you so much for.
And also, most importantly, so I see a lot of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn, just saying, hi, how are you doing? Or hi, sir, how are you? So please never do that mistake. Don't just say hi and stop your message there. Tell them why you are reaching out, and only then you would expect a reply. People don't have the time, believe me.
Right.
So please state why you are reaching out to them, and then you can expect them to engage with you.
Absolutely. I think thank you so much for talking about it, because I see my inbox getting flooded with these messages. Hi, thank you for connecting. How have you been? And to be very honest, I have no idea how to answer to that, because I do not have the time to sit and do small talk like I am good. How are you? That is definitely not happen. So thank you so much for highlighting that. All right. Now let me get towards the end of our conversation, but I have a very important question to ask you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how lucky do you think you are to have an amazing sister like me?
Sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 10. So I'm quite privileged to have a sister like you, but that privilege comes at a cost. So
Of course. Okay. So jokes apart, I wanted to ask you this, that, I consider we have a huge gap in our age. So you are at a very young generation of workforce that we look at. And given the certain, situation in our country today, we see a lot of people are, running towards making their career, making money and getting everything that they want in life. And in the process, we also see a lot of complaints about hard work, stress, overwork, and also people are facing health issues. That is one of the major concerns in today's India specifically. So what would be your suggestion or advice to young professionals specifically to lead a wholesome life? Like, not just about work, not just about money, but how can somebody make a worthwhile, experience while doing everything that they are doing?
So first advice is don't take advice from everyone, right? So become more self-observant. Try to spend more time with yourself and understand what you want, what you like, what you don't like. So if you are transparent about yourself, if you don't lie to yourself, then most of the times you will do fine. When you want advice, then take advice for very specific problems. So let's say you don't know how to use LinkedIn, then reach out to your friend who can use LinkedIn and ask them to show you, right? Don't take general advice. Secondly, realize this, that your health comes first above everything, even before the health of your family members, because if you are not well, then you cannot take care of anyone else.
Right.
So respect your own mind and your body and take care of it. So like, of course, eating right, doing movement whenever you can, or maybe doing some kind of activity that re-energizes you, like talking to your friends, or reading, walking, whatever you like to do to take care of your mental health. apart from that, also be very vigilant about how much effort you want to put and where you want to put it. So if let's say you are working hard, so there are times when I work 16 hours a day, right? But I know that that intensity of work is not forever. Probably I know that these this phase is going to last for maybe 2 weeks, because I'm
Right.
working on some specific deals that I want to close for my company or for my own benefit. So I set a sort of a timeline for myself that okay, I am going to work hard on particularly this project, and then after that I will relax for a while. So you cannot overwork yourself for a long duration, and you need to strategize where you want to do that hard work and where you do not want to do that hard work.
Right.
And obviously be aware of what kind of benefits you're getting from that overwork, right? So if let's say at the end of that uh, sprint that I'm doing for 2 weeks, if I know that the incentive I'm going to earn is going to be very rewarding, or I know that I'm going to get a promotion after this, then definitely I will do that. Or let's say it's something personal that I'm working on. I might be working on a side project to start some business or something. If I know that it is going to add to my skills, or it is going to add to my financial portfolio, I would spend the time on it. But if it is just about pleasing people, or if it is just about doing what my manager says, then obviously I will not do that.
Right.
And that's where you need to understand the skill of drawing boundaries, right? So you have to draw boundaries like with your family members, with your work colleagues, with your friends, and make sure that those boundaries are not violated.
Right.
So yeah, I think these are some of the things that people can follow these days.
Wonderful. Great. I think you spoke about very important aspects of life and how to handle certain situations in life. And at the start of it, you mentioned that you are also a nutritionist. So what do you think about, what do you want to tell people about the food habits that they take up? Because especially for youngsters these days, or even I would say the middle-aged people who are hustling a lot, they often tend to overlook the nutritional part of life, right? And they're very quick to take up fast food or anything that comes their way. So how do you think people should think of or look at putting in the right things in their body, and how important is it? Like, you can share a little bit insight with everyone.
Sure. See, first let's understand why nutrition is important, right? So whatever you put in your body is directly going to affect how your body and your brain functions, right? So if you don't have a good digestive system, then your overall functionality will also be affected. Your brain will not be able to process things quickly. You will feel a lack of energy and lethargy, right? So you will not feel motivated. And there is there are many studies that show how bad nutritional habits can directly lead to depression or anxiety, right? So first of all, maybe try to acquire some knowledge about nutrition. Secondly, also think of it from a long-term perspective, right? So today you may be enjoying the food that you're eating, but 20 years from now, do you want to suffer from diabetes or arthritis or liver diseases, or maybe when you grow old, do you want to suffer from Alzheimer's and all that, or do you want to live a very healthy and fulfilling life with your family members? So keep that goal in mind. Keep reminding yourself that you want to live a long or healthy life, if not long. You don't want to become a burden to others in your life by falling ill. So maybe use that as a motivation to think for the long term. And when you're thinking for the long term, then obviously you would realize that there are some nutritional things that you have to eat, and there are some things that you have to avoid. A lot of people make the mistake of having a lot of restrictions. Like whenever they think about living a healthy lifestyle, they directly jump into a very strict diet plan with completely cutting off sugars, or completely cutting off on junk food. But you have to understand that there is always a balance to be maintained. So if you completely restrict yourself, then you will get back to it with even more intensity. So rather than completely cutting it off, gradually reduce it. So you can set specific dates for yourself on which you will indulge into some junk food, or maybe sweets or anything. But at the same time, you also make sure that your daily diet has a well balanced mix of fibers or protein and carbohydrates. right? So that's important, and maybe also like practically you can surround yourself with people who have the same mindset, or
Right.
try to impart that knowledge to your immediate family members and your friends, so that
Mm.
all of them can together follow this, because
Right.
if you're doing it alone, it's usually very hard to do it. So yeah.
True. Okay, wonderful. I think this is something that very important that you spoke about, that being on that journey alone gets very difficult. However,
Yeah.
when you try and educate people about it, make people aware about the importance of it, the things that you spoke about, that you should not become dependent on others 20 years down the line. So I think that looking at that bigger picture is very important to help you change your mindset at a very young age, or whichever age you are at right now. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you, Abhranil, for sharing all these insights with us today and for taking time out for this interaction. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure the viewers are going to be hugely benefited from this conversation. And maybe sometime in the future, again, we will talk about some other important topics. But for today, thank you so much for your time. And you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much. It was great having this conversation. I know I was forced into this initially, but I really enjoyed talking about all the topics that we did. And yeah, good day to you too, and best of luck to your viewers.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
Bye bye.